the eyes of the unwitting public. You concealing your dirt and you doing nefarious things, knowing exactly what you're doing. The frequency is what's going to tell you that you the one. Because when you're doing certain stuff, it shows in your frequency. They call it biorhythms. If you look up biorhythms, then what you do alters your biorhythm. If your natural biorhythm is to be in the heart chakra space, pure love energy, but you operating from the root chakra, you've been inverted. Once you've inverted, it alters your frequency. You don't look the same energetically. Like if you take Kirlian photography, you won't have what's called a pure color. It will be specks of darkness in your color. They can see it with their eyes because they see a larger light spectrum than our 0.1%. They seeing like 40% light spectrum. So they seeing you so deep you can't hide your secrets. And they telepathic. So now they listening to you lying to yourself, trying to convince yourself you a good person while you running around doing all this dirt. And now you trying to convince publicly everybody that you a good person. Instead of stop doing the dirt and be yourself, it'll come out whether you a good person or not. Right? And then they gotta always send in somebody to undermine you.
Mm-hmm. What technological advancements do you believe were inspired by aliens encounter? By aliens encounter.
Fiber optics was developed off the reverse engineering of Area 51 in the Roswell crash. This is already recorded and exposed, and it's already available under the Freedom of Information Act to be reviewed. The cell phone is ancient. Most of the technology is ancient anyway. Atlanteans had all of the stuff that we consider modern technology, plus some you having signatures and saying, wait a minute, if what I'm seeing is right, that would mean this is taking place in the dark. Right? So when you're looking at the decay of society, that's entropy. That means it's coming to its close. So as the society starts to break down, it breaks down in a predictable pattern based on historical records. And these is all designed to function within a cycle called an age or an eon. Mm-hmm. Right? When people be talking about the end of the world ain't going nowhere. Your ass might, but the world ain't going nowhere.
Right.
Right. So it's not the end of the world, it's the end of a type of civilization that's no longer functional for the greater benefit of the people. So now you have a lot of teachers emerging from silence that wouldn't have never been speaking before, using alternative outlets to deliver information. Right? And these alternative outlets serve for also public notice according to the court standard. Timestamped, dated in an archivable format. Notice to agent is notice to principal. Once it's on the record, they can't delete it. They can try everything they can to cover it up, but once the people know, the people know. The gig is up. Right? But now we at the part where something got to trigger the great disclosure.
And is that on Trump's agenda? I mean, I don't know where he is with that, but talk was at his first go round, he had done some things. He did do some things that a lot of people seemingly were unaware of, that were more beneficial to us than a lot of folks knew. It seemed like he had done some things, but it was swept under the rug as far as public knowledge.
Yeah, well, it don't matter what he did last time or didn't do, because this time it's all coming down. It's all coming out. What was done in the dark has to come to the light. Just the age of Aquarius.
Yeah, Doesn't matter how far back it was done, right? So
If the truth need to be known for the people to recover and move forward in a better social standard, then they need to know.
right, right.
Right. So if they don't understand at the beginning, you have to put it in terms that they understand. And the sad part about it is we only understand high gossip and extreme trauma. The traumatic event could be the catalytic event. And it don't look good for people that ain't got the school message yet.
Can you expound on that?
They doing everything they can to force parents to stop participating in the educational system, but the parents is determined to keep it there, which puts the children at risk to Manchurian candidates. What's
Right.
commonly known in MK Ultra as a hypno assassin. If you look back over the school shootings, there is almost all of them, the majority of them, was under the care of a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Many of them was on Prozac and Ritalin, one or the other or both. All of those are written about in the MK Ultra files, but most people have never read it. So they don't know that these people are being hypnotically programmed to do these nefarious things. And it leaves the parent at risk because the parent thinking they're getting their child help. And what they doing is listening to these doctors that's ruining their child in the name of healthcare, mental health, programming them to use to do dastardly deeds in order to further the agenda of the corporation to the detriment of the tribes. As long as we keep thinking that this is just accidentally happening and we not looking at the patterns, we won't never see the consistency in the philosophy that they using as a conquering philosophy to subjugate us. So they use the false flag event when the people don't pay attention. Then they use what they call a emotionally significant false flag event. Don't mean the event don't happen. It just means that the government had more control over the event than you could possibly imagine.
Right.
Right? And they will let people die. Your life don't mean nothing to these people.
Collateral
They
damage.
collateral damage. It's war. And they trying to fight the war using psychological methods. And that's to keep the people from realizing that they in a war and that the war is being fought against them. Therefore, they have no defense.
So are you saying that because when we talk about the weapon is still loaded, so are we in the crosshairs of something else that we need to be more aware of, that we need to get ourselves geared up to fight this war, instead of being just a lame
It's
duck
not
out
going.
there
It's not
sitting
going to
duck?
play out where all of us have to participate in the fight. It's going to be so precise when they go. But the part that's to get the people to wake up is the part I'm more worried about than the aftermath fallout of the war. Because if they don't get your attention one way, they got a real evil and vile way to get your attention.
Mm-hmm.
And it normally involves mass casualties like 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if once you become aware, you can do something to protect yourself. But as long as you walking around in la la land thinking everything is milk and honey, then you're gonna walk right into their traps. The reason they call them a trap because you ain't supposed to see them
Right.
till it's too late. If a bear knew what a bear trap was, he wouldn't put his foot in there.
Well, Here's something. Question. It says, Rod, it's been rumored that 350 FEMA trucks were spotted the day before yesterday in Upper Michigan. Could you talk about why that could be?
Well, it depends on which side of FEMA. FEMA right now is in the middle of a civil or internal conflict between the tribes taking over FEMA and the deep state operatives that still have access to FEMA equipment and resources, trying to use it to muscle their way back in. It ain't gonna work. They ain't gonna win. But that's what's going on with FEMA. FEMA trucks normally is transporting goods or supplies of a medical nature, something like that, for emergency purposes. But what they are moving for in Michigan, I don't know.
Right. So there was some question that came up that I looked at one program where the lady was saying that she is a government contractor and as such gets a chance to read, when they put out for the various things that the government's contracting for, and that the government was doing, trying to get those that could build these what will seem like FEMA camps. But what I've been questioning lately in the East Coast in this area, and I don't know whether it's happening where any of you all are out there, let me know. They're building around here, in the Delaware, uh, in New Jersey area in particular, because that's the place I've been traveling. These massive, what looks like storage facilities or places where warehouses that look like they're like half a football field length, and they're putting these, and they're taking all the land that was farmland, and they're putting up these. I'm thinking, what do they have to store that they would build these huge? They have the big bays, but that's the bays could be where they back a truck up that has, or one of those things they call it containers and whatever. What in the heck? I don't know if they do it. If anybody where you are, they're building all of these warehouses, and I just feel like somehow there's a nefarious reason behind these massive warehouses. I mean, coming up like
Okay,
it's.
one thing that you got to take into account, Dr. G, is when they do martial law and they shut everything down, ain't no grocery store is gonna be open.
Mhm.
And the National Guard is gonna be responsible to feed people, and they have the food resource, the same resources they had when they started Focus Hope. You remember how they had all of that food stockpile? Well,
I
they've been
remember.
preparing through this is one of the FEMA initiatives for the continuity of government process. They've been preparing to shut the old government down. And when that shut down, the bank shut down, it's going to be a period of time before the new system becomes active.
So you
During
saying
that,
this could be food storage or supply storage places or?
it's possible. It could be both food and supplies because the National Guard is going to be going door to door delivering rations to people who don't. You have the people that was preppers, but most people wasn't.
Mhm.
So the one of the FEMA resources that was used was to be able to create a resource network to feed people for the martial law period.
When do you think feel that the martial law will actually go into effect? Where
Whenever
do you
this
see it?
false flag event take place, I don't know what it is or when it's going to happen. But if you look at the stars, you can get a good clue.
Mhm.
I haven't looked recently to see when a significant catalyzing event should be taking place according to the alignment. But I know right now we going through a whole lot of energy transfer and convergence. So we're
Mhm.
seeing a lot of things come back full circle, but they don't look the same when they come back. They look the same but different,
Okay.
right? So, but once it comes through, it's through. But the people don't want to become aware enough where the significant catalyzing event, the shock and awe, is not required. They still walk around in la la land. They
Mhm.
still thinking that presidential elections is real. And they still thinking that celebrity is important people when all they is for entertainment.
That's right.
They just as effed up as most of us, if not worse. Most of them worse. The average person don't want to be involved in those shenanigans. Not on their own accord. You need to be coaxed into some of that stuff, right? You need to be put in the middle of a peer group of a whole bunch of depraved individuals to compel you to participate in the depravity. That's why they isolate who they bring around. They know what they doing. We just don't know what they doing enough to protect ourselves from them doing it to us, or we wouldn't keep sending our children talking about we gonna make them a celebrity with
Yeah.
no parental supervision. I'm just gonna give my kid to this person. I ain't know him from Iraq and Iraq because he a producer. What is he producing? No, I'm not doing it. You want my son to sing? I'm gonna be sitting right there in the studio with him, especially when he's an underage singer.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a grown man, he already know how to protect himself because I'm gonna teach him. But if you're a child, I'm not Bieber age, Usher age, no Lil Wayne age. No, nigga, you not taking my child. I don't know you like that. Them kids was too young to be put in that um
Situation. Yeah.
piranha tank.
Yeah, I saw
Oh,
another thing. I didn't know what going on, but there was I forgot what's called the rap game. Looking at some old things, and it actually was what is that guy's name? Oh my God, he's a producer. He went with Janet Jackson for a little while. Oh my
I'm
God,
about Jermaine Dupri.
Jermaine Dupri, and I was like, oh my goodness, he had children, but lots of their parents seemed to have been there. But when I was telling an individual about his history with um, I believe it was Crisscross. The group was called Crisscross, and the one young man ended up, you know, deleting himself. They didn't believe me. Oh, that's just a bunch of. I said, okay, whatever. You think these people are, that they're so morally right in a corrupt system? It's almost impossible to be not to be corrupt because of the system was designed for that. It was designed from corruption. So we, like you said, we I don't think too many people are maybe looking to get their children into entertainment now with all of the publicity. Maybe
You
now
still
that it's
got,
out.
you still got people look at their child as a cash cow and don't see him as their child.
Well, they something that in sports. I mean, because I got a grandson that my son's, but he's good, but it's really good. But I don't, maybe he wants to be something else, not because those things, there's a whole bunch of good players out there. You know what I mean? So what, stimulating the brain, the mind, create something and all that. Everybody aspiring to be, a hooper or, to be a quarterback to get, $200 million contract. I mean, those things aren't even gonna matter soon. Anyway.
So ain't everybody in power or in pseudo power has to come out of their positions of pseudo power.
Mhm.
In order for the old system to be overthrown, everybody that looked like they was on top, they got to
Got it.
be at the bottom. They got to all come down from high and mighty to be lowly and regular like us. Because we all have the same portion of divine spark that got us breathing on earth. And anybody that don't got it, when that solar flare and that Schumann resonance decide to purge, they won't be here.
Hmm. Well, somebody's asked. A couple of people are asking you to talk about the scandal in the Vatican. I think but and then somebody also said, "Can you talk about um, Archbishop of Canterbury resigns over scandal, abuse, Rome is falling?" And then somebody else said, "What's going on in the Vatican?" I don't know if those are the same. Do you
Well,
have any?
the Archbishop of Canterbury is over the Church of Canterbury. That's not the Catholic Church. They was created under King, I think his name was King George. The, no, that wasn't his name. King Henry, I think it was. He was a notorious eater, but he wanted to get a divorce. The Pope wouldn't let him, so he created the Church of Canterbury and installed his own Pope as the Archbishop of Canterbury.
Oh, okay.
But that's also a bunch of historical codes for the modern narrative in order to see something that's different. Like Chief Pontiac Castle on Joslin in Lake Orion is called Canterbury Castle.
Oh, there's a capsule with teapot. Okay, okay.
Right. So there was several of them. One in Rochester, but this one in Lake Orion. And it's called Canterbury Castle. They say we wasn't no royalty on the land. BS. We ain't went nowhere. We just had to fight this war and go through this amnesia and try to remember who we was so we could tell our people about the lies they told. So they can break their mind free from the psychological programming. One of the things I was studying is the deprogramming of cult victims. The hardest thing to get a programmed cult victim to do is think outside of the paradigm of the cult. And the government is its own cult,
Mm.
and it uses the media, the news, the TV shows, the radio stations, the programming selection. Is all of that is used to control how people respond in the society. Those are called social control mechanisms. You don't have to control every individual, control the flow of the group. Because according to Gustave Le Bon, author of The Crowd, if you can control the antagonist and the protagonist, you can control the whole crowd with the least amount of effort. In other
Yeah,
words, they
you said
leaders,
both sides.
yeah. So you got the leader and the anti-leader.
Hmm.
Anti-leader telling everybody to be your own leader, but most people not leaders, so they don't know what you're talking about. You just sound like you're saying something cool, but it don't apply to their life.
Hmm.
The real leader is trying to tell them how to make it apply to the life they live in order to live their best life, right? So the anti-leader condemning them for not being leadership material so that they won't need a leader. But the leader is telling them you can lead your life from where you at. All you got to do is project in your mind where you want to go. You got a built-in GPS system for success, but
Oh,
you have to control your own narrative.
and that is so true. That is so true. I shared with you that gosh, I guess I did a little excerpt from my book that I'm working on, and that's what it speaks to. It speaks to that, and I'm gonna just share with you all. It says this is an excerpt from my book. It's coming from you are everything and nothing and or no thing. Your idea of the world is everything, and at any time that changes, your worldview changes. With what you think at birth, you don't know you're a blank canvas that can become an artistic masterpiece or a ghoulish nightmare, or that you are raw potential and endless possibility. What makes the difference is who or what applies the brushstrokes of your life, your being. The final nugget of truth is that you are what you let or allow yourself to become. And so you know, that's a reality that most folks don't exercise because we're so programmed by who and what we can be and who we are that we never step out of the boundaries that have been placed. Like you said, when the Catholic Church said, "Give me the child," in the first 7 years, and I'll show you the man. Let me paint the canvas of his or her life. And we got to get to the place where we teach the children, instruct the children that they are the artists and that they can write the canvas and paint the canvas of their own lives and make decisions. Not go to school and be told, oh, you don't have to be what you were born, and be encouraged to follow the what is it, the herd mentality, like lemmings. They going off, all going off the ledge together. Don't know why the first one might have been depressed and despondent, but everybody else is just following the leader into destruction. And so we have been, as a people, we have been indoctrinated and regimented into certain, constraints, and folks are afraid. And when they do try to get out of it, like that old crab in the barrel syndrome, you always got the other ones like pulling them down. We don't want you can't get out, you can't leave us. But yes, you can, and you must. We're gonna have to get some folks to get out and lead the way into to some level of victory. So yeah, I mean, it's so important. Mindset. Let me see. Oh, what? I'm just looking. They were talking about some other folks that just so is there anything going on in the Vatican in addition to the Church of Canterbury? That's
I haven't seen anything recently that I'm aware of.
unless folks thought that the Bishop of Canterbury was attached to the Vatican.
That's possible because a lot of people don't know that it's a whole separate system of church based off of this divorce dispute.
Mm, okay. See. Well, so oh yeah, so there were some questions on here about the fact that they said, and I can't find it, y'all, but a couple people put on touch to the fact that Elon Musk said that he was going to, I guess, file for the to own the United States, um, and I mean it's up for the owning. It's a corporation, right? Can he come in a corporation? So I mean, it's not a country. It's not the country. It's the corporate entity, right?
That's all it is.
And so it's not the land, it's the corporation in 10 square miles we call Washington, D.C.
When we staked that totem pole in 2017, we reclaimed that 10 square miles for the tribes.
Okay.
That was the purpose of the totem pole ceremony.
Mhm.
This has been an ongoing process of different people across the land doing different parts, right? And that's why I be showing them so many receipts because I got to show them all these people is doing a part. And when you put it all together, it shows the working together of the tribes by every one of the chiefs that's doing the work. They just doing their part. And then somebody got to tie it all together and show y'all where they at in order for you to go get the receipts. But people keep taking sides. And as soon as they take sides, they get stuck in dogma.
Yeah,
You just need the receipt. You don't need to take a side.
right.
Because it's trickery. And the only way for the trick to work is you got to select one of the false sides they gave you. They gave us a whole dodo bird, told us it was an eagle. Left wing, right wing, dodo bird.
uh, this is okay. Greetings. Um, is it safe to say DJT is soon to become president of the Republic since the U.S. corporation is defunct?
He was the president of the republic the first time he was elected. The Biden Harris administration was an interim stalling session to give them enough time to run the military operations of rounding up the dirty players, the deep state.
And we have, that's what I was talking about earlier. The people that went to is it called GT or Gitmo or whatever they call it, are those, we haven't seen certain folks. So I mean, I think it's odd that for particularly in Hollywood, there's been a lot of missing uh,
Celebrities.
celebrities that used to be, every time something came out, they were in it. Now you have all these like, who's that? Who's that? I mean, they're newbies coming
Look,
on board.
all you
Like,
gotta
what
do
happened?
is think about it. Where John Kerry at? Why he ain't help Kamala with her campaign? He is one
But
of the premier Democrats, ain't he?
I guess.
He ran against Bush.
Oh, Carrie. Carrie.
Yeah.
I thought you said Jim Carrey. John Carey. Yeah, I
Hmm.
don't know where he is. Where is he?
Yeah.
He
Okay.
got Mo.
Right. Why we ain't heard nothing from Jeb or Joe or George? Where they at?
Look, they get those letters at the funeral, those little note cards
Yeah,
telling them
yeah, they got the
that,
letters.
that was their invites. Their tickets. Maybe they were given tickets to get well.
You used to have a whole lot of people from all around, all the senators and congressmen used to lobby for their party.
Hmm.
You remember that? That was only a couple of elections ago.
We still have them here locally, but I don't know what
Right,
I
but the majority of the cast of characters, right, they ain't showing up. Listen,
know.
the chairman of the Federal Reserve was told by the Trump administration to resign. He
This
said he not.
time,
Yeah, this just happened like in the last 2 days.
okay.
All right, he said he not going to resign because Trump don't have the capability to compel him to resign. His ass going to Gitmo.
Okay.
The Federal Reserve was the bankers that was waging the war. They told us that. I went over that on Young Elder channel when on my what Patriots Need to Know video, because most of us don't know. They declared war on us, but they didn't tell us. So we don't know that they fighting a war against us while we going about our day to day. The
Well, it
war not
seems
new.
like a war is going on, especially when you look at the immigrant situation. Like some folks say, "Well, damn, I need to leave, come back in, and with no papers, and be
Look,
and declare myself."
election
Yeah.
election results came in, and within 24 hours, it's a tentative talks for the Russian-Ukraine truce. The resistance in Gaza is offering peace to the Israelis. The Israeli government, they go into prison too.
Mm.
I want to chop the head of what's their president name? Netanyahu. I want to be the one pull the lever on his guillotine.
Well, somebody says, "What's going to happen with the illegal immigrants?" Being that Trump said he will deport them, do you think it will be? Think they will be a problem?
No, look, you got to people not paying attention. Nobody don't just up and leave home and take their whole family on a promise. No common sense adult. Them people running from something, right?
Hmm.
And whatever they running from, they coming over here trying to get some kind of security. They feeding us another narrative, like them people would rather be at home safe than having to run up here.
But what about the people that are here that don't have housing, that are unhoused, that are unfed, that are getting medical attention, they just folks and they from here. What about those folks with all these new people?
When the new system come online, everything gonna be free damn near. Healthcare. The new healthcare technologies is gonna be on display at the World's Fair. And some of
There's
that
new
stuff
work
gonna blow
there.
people's mind. Yeah, the
There's new
Iowa
work
World
there
Fair coming up.
in Iowa.
Yeah.
Well, way out there.
I've been telling people this for like 5 years. About 2.5 years ago, Trump came out and announced it, and people was like, "Trump just announced what you've been saying." I call it Mardi Gras. I call it National Mardi Gras. He called it the 250-year national celebration.
Hmm. Somebody wants to know what kind of foreign relations do we have with South America?
South America, that look like legendary Top Cat right there.
Oh.
You got different countries in South America, and once the tribes back in charge, our diplomatic relations is going to be so much better than they is under this corporate tyranny we under.
Hmm.
They under the same corporate tyranny. That's why the CIA assassinated Chavez, because he wasn't buying it. Anybody that was resistant to the corporate domination of their land, the U.S. government sent the CIA to execute them or orchestrate their execution or assist in a coup to overthrow them. We over here in La La Land not knowing that these people using our name to do their dirt around the world. Laurent
You know
Kabila.
our name or individual, what the names that they
No,
created.
the using the country's name.
Okay.
Before 1492, the United States had a reputation around the world as being send us your orphans, your downtrodden, and your lost so we can help repair their soul. This was like a religious mecca to the rest of the world. This was Atlantis capital in Arizona. Well, after the Anunnaki Wars and everything was decimated and they started rebuilding, they come with this out of Africa story. But the people was created over here. The laboratories that they was creating people was in Teotihuacan, right?
South America.
So if they don't know that, then they're gonna be stuck on that out of Africa theory to justify the false narrative of the people that want to control them. The oldest human remains they told us was Lucy in the Oduvar Gods, but she wasn't even a human. She was an Australopithecine, right? Which is supposed to be like a pre-human prototype.
Mm-hmm.
It was humans walking around contemporary with Lucy, but they lived thousands and thousands of years, so they don't have burial sites that's common. Normally, their burial sites became some type of shrine, right? And now all of those ancient shrines, they still here.
I mean, the
And they
Grand
telling,
Canyon in places, Ohio,
yeah,
mounds.
that's what
Yeah.
a lot of the mounds became ritual sites based on it being a burial site of an ancestor, a specific ancestor. That's why they all over the land and they ain't just concentrated in one spot because it's not one bloodline of ancestor. It's several bloodlines of many ancestors.
And are they as large as they are because the people were large?
No, well, they use them and then they exalt the place of the burial
Okay,
because the
over.
ancestor is hereby being exalted. This is what gave rise to the concept of the construction of energy centers in the form of pyramids, because we was using the kinetic energy and the resonant frequency of the ancestor to calibrate us to a certain pitch. It's just like going to get your radio adjusted to get rid of the static so you can hear a clear channel. And we use those locations, and sometimes we had set up temples on top of them. Sometimes the temple was at the base of them, but all of the different cultures is not the same. You had different tribes that did their thing differently, but it had a similar appeal to it across the land. Right. So every family had a part of the family responsible for taking care of the deceased, the family death doula.
Okay.
Right. And that family was normally kept that tradition and became the mortuary, the funeral home owners in modern times.
Yes. Wow. That's a yeah. But we're at a place now. Um, somebody says I need to get. Where did I see that? Yeah, I'll probably get that. Need I was looking for the. It said somebody said I need to get you and the legendary Top Cat on here together. So I need to figure out how to get in touch with him.
Top
I don't
cat,
know
top cat, woo, they think my memory,
how.
my
I
memory,
need
okay.
to get back.
Dude. And then me and him and Dane got a chance to talk. And it was just so refreshing talking to somebody that actually knew what you was talking about.
Right. Right.
And when you discuss in the history of our people, they actually know what I'm talking about. So I might say something, and then Top Cat might drop the case in law that's referring to it, or the legislation or the treaty, right? The only way I do that, I be thinking about something, and I say, which treaty was that? And then I got to go look the treaty up. He call it right up. Some
Yeah.
of them I remember because they so use so much that I have to remember them because I'm using them so often they just stick out.
Well, we'll have to get you both. I have to. I know how to get in touch with you. I have to, see if I can get his information. I'm pretty sure if you don't have it, I'll get it from Sister Freedom.
Yeah, Sister Freedom get right in touch with him because that's who I was gonna call.
Yeah,
We'll get
Sister
in touch
Freedom.
with him. Sister Freedom,
Sister Freedom. Yeah, yeah, she know everybody.
Sister Freedom don't play.
No, she and I've been buddies and colleagues for years and years, and we live here in the same town, so I can call her up or go to her house and say, "Give me that information." But what do you recommend for and before and I want you, what do you recommend if you have any recommendations for those listening and those who will be listening to this to do going forward? I know a lot of folks, we try to take our hands off the selection process and stuff. But how should we be functioning in
My
under?
my biggest concern is when they declare martial law that
Mhm,
the teenagers, teenage boys that like to be out on the block, their
mhm.
parents have enough sense talked into them to stay out them people way, because they got some real horrible people, and I really would hate to see them get caught up in somebody else's cleanup.
Right. So what you're recommending is that parents have a sit down talk with their children to say, look,
Yeah,
when this thing happened, this is serious, and this is they taking no prisoners. They taking you out.
because one of the things they're gonna be arresting a lot of these police gonna shoot back at them because they
Mm,
think they untouchable. They think they the closest living thing to God. So when they tell them that you under arrest, the police gonna be like, "You can't arrest me. I'm gonna arrest you," and that's gonna be problems in some places, especially some of these good old boys departments down in the holler.
mm.
But that's why I did that video. What patriots need to know, because they need to know who they cleaning up. They not coming for us. They coming to get all of them dirty judges and them crooked states attorneys and DAs and bar members.
Mhm.
That's who they coming to get. And some of them people so rich they got private military, so you need special forces. Because the National Guard under their regular training is not qualified to deal with a lot of these private militaries that's probably better trained than half the militaries of the world. So you need specialists.
Yeah.
And that's why I
So
was
I
talking about
know we
that
have
law they
seen those
passed
movies
earlier.
lately. There's a lot of movies, like I said, with these folks I never heard of, but most of these movies are like these military special ops things. They go in here and they got an elite team of folks that I hadn't even paid attention to them, but maybe I need to pay more attention because maybe all of them are coming out like that because they're saying, look, you could be, caught up and people get caught up in the crossfire of these because they're in pursuit of their target and anybody in the way, collateral damage.
Yeah. And but you gotta remember this. It's not gonna be the National Guard fault that the police run into crowds of people trying to get away. Because they already know what they doing. They already know they ain't supposed to be here. The ones that actually study what they manuals and handbooks say,
Mm.
you know. So when they get to rounding them up, I got the same amount of sympathy for them they've been having for us for the last 450 years, 500 years. They ain't had no sympathy for us. I got that same amount of sympathy for them.
Wow.
They created the condition, so the condition they created, they have to suffer for their own indiscretions. That's not my problem, and it's not ours.
Yeah.
We just don't
Well,
want our children to get caught in the crossfire.
So need to school them. Do you think they're going to actually get rid of or shut down TikTok? Like, was the plan? I mean, like I think they made some legislation that they had to either sell or to somebody. I guess that was from
Look,
America.
if they
I mean,
if they have to sell TikTok to somebody that live over here, Elon Musk gonna buy it.
that's what I figured, but I was wondering because a lot of information comes out through TikTok. I don't know where the negative part is because I don't see those things, but the stuff I see, these young people, mainly young people of all ethnicities, are putting out truth bombs. They dropping truth bombs right and left, and they destroying a lot of the narratives that we've been, indoctrinated to. And I don't know where they're getting it from, but I'm glad they're getting it. I'm like, well, they're gonna do what it's going because then other people compile these little snippets and put it together on their YouTube page, and we get to see all these things. And I think that with more people see these things, it'll help more people at least think about, maybe I've been lied to, maybe I've been bamboozled, maybe I need to study deeper than what my the school said, the church said, my mom and them said. And do you think we're going to see full disclosure with regard to, like, supposedly extraterrestrials and the different interterrestrial ones that live inner Earth and
Whatever it is, whether they
interdimensional?
extraterrestrials, whether they intergalactic beings, whether they future humans coming back to the past, whether they from Shambhala in the center, or we about to see something. I don't know where they came from. I don't really care. I'm more concerned about us on the ground than the people that's gonna be coming out the sky. How they got up there, I don't know. Where they coming from, I don't know. But I know they gonna show up because they've been showing up already.
Mm,
And when the Pentagon tell you they here letting off ships, you should probably consider that they might be finally coming out with a disclosure.
mm-hmm.
And then they use for credibility. The Harvard professor verified it on a peer review.
Oh wow.
So they saying somebody up there,
Or yeah, or out there interdimensionally,
wherever they from, they here.
Mm.
Because the government don't just tell you they here if because they want to keep it covered up as long as they can. Now they telling you they here.
Here somebody says, we are here. That's a disclosure right here on the channel. They're here. Oh wow, wow, wow,
Mhm.
wow. Listen, so it's like 1,400 folk on the channel, and I want to make sure that we don't leave without addressing, the how our Grand Sheik is doing. You know,
Mhm.
I want to make sure that that you all know, first of all, that we appreciate everyone who has given to the GoFundMe, whether you're giving via GoFundMe or PayPal or Zelle or whatever Cash App. We appreciate the fact that there are those of you who care enough that are not going through the, well, why isn't he got this, and why we wish he had those things and we didn't have to ask anybody to do anything. But the truth be told, he didn't have any medical insurance. He's not on the grid. He's off the grid. He hadn't had, any type of examinations and medical interactions for over 50 years, you know, and we're trying to help him preserve him, because and you and I talked about